Shabbat Shalom, all hail President, Prime Minister Netanyahu. Look at this skin. Look at this skin I got. It's Black Steve from the Xbox 360. Welcome to another EmoSlur YouTube video program. Today, I've got some things to say. I've got some thoughts because it's almost the new year. I got some interesting things to say about it. Now, I've seen a couple other of these types of videos, and I'm just warning anyone, coming into this video. This video isn't going to be like my predictions for next year. It's not going to be like, GTA 5 is going to come out and it's going to be really good. I'm going to be talking about some real shit. Like, I'm going to be talking about some real things that are like kind of important and not just like silly things. So, I mean, if that's kind of what you want, then I guess go somewhere else, man. I don't know, but I'm gonna be talking about some real things, some things that are kind of like legitimately important things, because I'm a conscientious man boy. I know what's going on in the world. So let's get into it. My first prediction, which this might come across nuclear, but something is gonna happen like today, tonight. Something like an attack or something, like something crazy. It's gonna happen this year. Well, I mean, obviously something's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen like New Year's. I heard something about like the FBI is on like high alert for an attack on New Year's. I remember something like that happened last year as well. So I expect something to happen tonight. And assuming that it actually does, okay, I had nothing to do with it to the FBI. This is just a prediction, but yeah, that's just a prediction, but still, it feels probable. It feels probable. Anyways, probably my biggest prediction, and if I'm wrong on this, I'm not a damn economist or whatever the correct phrase is. I'm not an expert on this issue, but I think there very possibly may be an AI bubble, collapse. There may very well be some kind of great recession because, as a result of the AI, burst. And again, obviously, I'm not an economist, but all you need is like do like a Google search, right? And you can see none of these companies are making money. I Googled it. OpenAI is they lost like $5 billion last year. And when I say last year, I mean 2024. They lost like $5 billion. That is like an obscene amount of money to be losing. Like no matter what you're making, like who's giving them this damn money? It's just not going to work out, I don't think. And I know there are going to be some people who are like probably cheering on economic collapse because they don't like AI. I don't really like AI either personally, but it's going to very negatively affect the economy, I would assume. So I wouldn't celebrate it if I was you. If it does happen or when it happens, I don't know, but it's going to be no good. It's going to be no good. It's not something that you're going to want to happen. It's a very no good thing. But that's just how it is. This very well may be something that happens next year. Because this isn't just like a GTA 6 will come out next year, GTA 7 or whatever. This is like a real like a serious prediction for like a serious issue in the future. It's not just something that's like it's not like a common thing, but like a major economic downturn, like a Great Recession tier event. That would be like a serious thing, right? And you can't really just say like, oh yeah, next year it's gonna happen. Next year it's gonna happen. It might, who knows? But I feel like it's also possible that it would happen in like 2027 as well. I don't know. Again, I'm not an economist, and honestly, I'm not really that much of an expert or even particularly that interested in AI, to be completely honest. I don't really like AI. I kind of hate AI personally, but that is something that I think very well may happen next year. I feel like it's very possible. I think it's certainly going to happen by the end of the decade, though. by 2030, this shit, the economy is going into the can. It's getting trashed. We're we're gonna be in a little desperate era or whatever. It's gonna be no good. But again, I don't know, and I think there will be some not comment. I think there's gonna be some positive. I guess what you would say. What would you say? Like repercussions because of it. Oh, fuck, dude. Some positive things are gonna happen because of a AI recession or whatever. I do think that this current generative AI boom in culture is more of like a fad than anything else. To be completely honest, it bro, what the. Okay, whatever. I think it's a fad personally. It's as much of a fad as Beanie Babies or whatever. And the reason I think that is because AI art is terrible, just objectively speaking. I don't mean like art like a Twitter user or whatever. I mean like art in general, so like music too. Because and this has been what's the term? It like empirically proven that AI cannot make quality art. Like this year you had the We Are Charlie Kirk thing. And I think that's just kind of proof that like AI cannot make good music or art or anything. Like anything that AI gets its hands on, it's always kind of just AIDS-ish. It's always just kind of bad. And frankly, I don't think it's capable of overtaking humanity in terms of like art. I just don't think it's something that can happen. Okay, yeah. I don't think it's something that can happen. I don't think it will. And I think I think people have been fear mongering for a really long time over like the issue of like AI art and such, but I just really don't think AI is gonna overtake humanity in terms of art. I think the whole thing is just a fad that's being pushed on us from like huge mega corporations or whatever. Because AI, when most people hear AI, they think of like like AI gooning material or like We Are Charlie Kirk or whatever. But AI goes a lot deeper than that. AI is like data processing and shit. It's like Palantir or like, stuff like that. It's stuff for like the government and like huge mega corporations and stuff. And it's just like a new technology. And the generative AI stuff is just kind of a fad for consumers to kind of latch onto a new technology. Because people like feeling like they're like in Tron or whatever. They want to feel like they're in like the damn Matrix. Because it makes them feel cool or whatever. They want to feel like they're in the future. We really saw this with the like cryptocurrency and like NFTs. Those only really took off the way that they did because of people wanting to feel like they lived in the future. And I think generative AI is just like that. It has no actual value. It cannot create artistic quality, anything, so it's not actually a good product. It's just something that people are latching onto because it's like, it's futuristic, but eventually people, especially like corporations, are going to realize that it just kind of sucks and no one wants it. And I think it's going to stop being used if there is an AI crash, because if there's a crash and, if the AI bubble pops, I feel like any prestige that AI has, it's just going to be gone. Like, no one's going to want to be associated with it, and it's going to stop being cool. I just feel like the push of AI into literally everything and all the AI art stuff is just going to die next year because no one wants it. Nobody wants the damn AI shit. It just sucks. It just sucks. It's just objectively not good. No one likes it, and I feel like the only reason why it's around is because tech oligarchs are kind of pushing it onto us because it's a very promising new technology, and some people just like that. They like being a part of like history, having like the new cool thing, just like crypto. But that's just kind of the thing. There might be a second Great Recession. I don't know. And the AI bubble might pop. We might stop being plagued with AI dog shit, but who knows? This might be next year, it might be the year after that, who knows? Another prediction is that politics are going to get a lot wackier next year, the political landscape. And politics have been wacky this year, but I feel like this was just kind of like the teaser trailer, so to speak. I feel like everything is going to get a lot, um, maybe not worse, but a little bit more extreme. Because things this year were already pretty wild, just in terms of like, not even like politics, but like of how violent it was. This was an extraordinarily violent year for politics. It was a very divisive year for politics. You had a lot of political violence in this country this year, probably more than any other year. I mean, since the Civil War, maybe. It's kind of unprecedented, whatever. It's just it's abnormal. You don't really see stuff like this happen, like with the Charlie Kirk stuff, and like with the reaction to it and what that was. Especially, I feel like the reaction to this stuff has really shown the state that we're in as a country. But basically my expectation for next year is that we're going to see a lot more political violence happening. A lot more wild political stuff. I feel like the Charlie Kirk assassination is going to be copied. I feel like people are going to see, kind of what happened there, and they're going to want to recreate it. I guess you could say they're going to want to, they're going to copy his methods, and the shooter, I forgot what his name was because people kind of forgot about it, that whole thing. But I feel like that is going to be an influential event, just kind of very similar to the Luigi Mangione thing, since the Charlie Kirk guy was inspired pretty clearly by Luigi. So we're going to see assassinations, by left-wing people against the right and against, like tech billionaires or whatever. And we're going to see right-wing people retaliate by attacking people who are on the left. We're going to see retaliation and violence this year, and I feel like that's going to be a pretty defining aspect of like the political climate or whatever. We're going to see a lot more of that shit like on the news. We're going to hear like this guy got shot, there was a car bombing, whatever. And it's not like that wasn't like a defining aspect of this year, but I feel like it's going to be worse next year. I feel like next year it's going to be a lot more extreme. Not to say that you should be afraid, because I don't think it's going to be something that really affects common folk. It's going to be more of like it's going to be another contributing factor in the rise of political polarization in the United States, which certainly isn't like a new thing, but it's just going to get a little bit worse. Just like how it got a little bit worse in 2020 when we were all on our phones or computers or whatever instead of talking with each other, and everyone's granddad or whatever relative got into like QAnon or whatever. I think it's just going to get worse, even if it's not like apocalyptic. If you hear what I'm getting at here, but it's definitely going to be a notable thing. It's not going to be. I don't know if it's going to be as big as the Charlie Kirk thing, because that was like a huge. It was like a big cultural thing too, because of the memes and such. I don't think it. I'm not sure it'll have that much of an impact, but it's going to be something that you see more often. And again, on the subject of politics, I think Trump might die, but that's just a maybe. Again, it's kind of like the economic crisis type thing. I feel like it's very much on the table that Trump dies, because if you've been like listening to what he's been saying, he's like Dementia Joe now. Okay, he's been getting sleepier. Mr. President has been getting sleepier. I watched his I forgot what it was entirely. I think it was the New Year's thing, because I think on Christmas, or I think maybe the day before, or a little bit before, I don't know. He did this televised speech, and he just sounded totally out of it. He was not. He was not doing well. Mr. Donnie T, Mr. DJ T, he was kind of out of it. Just the things that he said, it made him sound like he was like he had dementia. The one I remember is that he said the word transgender for all, and I understand what he meant by that, something about the left making everybody transgender or whatever. But it's the specific phrasing. If he said the left wants to have transgender for everyone, transgenderism for everyone, that would make sense to me. I'd understand what he meant by that. But he says transgender for all, and that's that is so totally incoherent. I don't even know what he meant by that. Like it just sounds retarded, and I think he's kind of losing his mind almost. And I feel like it's very possible that he like gets dementia or has some kind of like health issue and just dies, or maybe it's like an FDR situation where he's just out of commission, you know, and the Mr. Vice President has to take over. I don't know. You know, it's very possible that he gets like assassinated or something because people hate Donald Trump. The Epstein stuff is still probably going to be in the news. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as this year, but it's going to be something that's like present, I guess. You know, and obviously that ties into the assassination because if Trump keeps mishandling the Epstein shit, someone probably will try and kill him just out of anger with how he dealt with it. But you know, I don't know. Again, if this does happen to the FBI, this is just a game theory. Okay, I had no involvement, but you know, that is a theory of something that might happen. Another theory, the great meme reset or whatever it's called, this total horse shit, and everyone who's saying that is literally 12 years old. The internet culture isn't going to change in any like meaningful way since like I don't know, the last 5 years or whatever. Again, I've been seeing a lot of people, mostly 12-year-olds and people who are alive, like people who were 7, you know, when Ugandan Knuckles was still funny. Like people, like actual 7-year-olds when that was like a thing. I was 12 and that was a thing. Okay, I remember when all this shit people are trying to bring back was like actually funny. It stopped being funny after like a week. You know, Ugandan Knuckles is not funny. Big Chungus, hot take, is not funny. Big Chungus is not funny. Okay. It's probably going to be forced for like a week, and it's like not going to do anything. They're going to like force themselves to laugh at Ugandan Knuckles and Big Chungus for a month, at most a month. And you know, then we're going to go back to the funny brain rot or whatever. You know, I mean, besides from maybe AI going away if there's a recession, I don't think internet culture is going to change in that meaningful of like a way, you know, compared to the last, you know, couple years or so. I don't think we're just going to change entirely. Things are just generally going to stay as they have been. You know, it's going to take a little while until internet culture like fully changes again. You know, honestly, I feel like it might be like it might not be it might not change until like the end of the decade. You know, who knows? But you know, the whole thing that people have been pushing, 12-year-olds that is, about, you know, we're gonna go back to laughing at Ugandan Knuckles or whatever. That's not gonna happen. You know, things are gonna stay the same generally. I think just in terms of internet culture, except maybe AI might be less of a thorn in our ass if, you know, there's an economic recession, which probably isn't something that, you know, we should be, you know, rooting for. But, you know, that is just my opinion. Those are my predictions for the next year. If there is a terrorist attack tonight, I had no responsibility. Hope you guys have a good New Year's Eve. My name is E. Mosler, and I dislike Israel. Goodbye.